Before 2009, the JavaScript was only available for the browsers, and every browser was competing with each other in terms of speed, in terms of executing the JavaScript code, and for that they need a JavaScript engine. Every browser has their own JavaScript engine, but what is a JavaScript engine? So JavaScript engine is a software component that executes JavaScript code. So faster is the JavaScript engine, faster is the browser. That's why every browser has their own JavaScript engine. Just like Chrome has V8 engine, Microsoft Edge has Chakra engine, and Firefox has Spider Monkey engine. There are many others, but these are very famous. But among these, the V8 engine became super fast because it was written in C++ and running or executing JavaScript code through C++ was a big win. And that's why the competition among the browser makes the browser speed significantly improved. And with this V8 engine, something happened. In 2009, a person came called Randall, and he created something called Node.js, and he used the same V8 engine inside this Node.js. But the question comes, what is a Node.js? What he has actually created? So, Node.js is firstly not a language, it's not a framework, it's a free and open source runtime for JavaScript. Now, what is a runtime and how it is different from JavaScript engine? So, JavaScript engine just execute the code, but the runtime environment, just like Node.js, has some additional server-side modules. Server-side modules in Node.js are like file system, HTTP, operating system module, and many more. But the point is, all these Node.js thing is written in C, C++, and JavaScript. It's a combination of every good part of every language. So that's why the Node.js is extremely fast and has amazing performance. Now, since Node.js has two really great things, one is V8 engine, another is additional amazing modules. And that's why the Node.js is able to run the JavaScript code onto the server. And this is the breakthrough because now this is the first time Node.js can run the JavaScript, or anything can run the JavaScript on the server. You know, Node.js is asynchronous in nature. Now, what it is? What is asynchronous thing? Now, asynchronous basically means I don't want to wait for anything. That means task B doesn't depend on task A. Let's have a very nice coffee analogy. So, you wake up and you want to have your favorite coffee just after that. So, how will you get the coffee? You reach to the coffee machine, and now there are two ways to make your coffee. One is a synchronous way, second is a synchronous way. Let's explore these things and understand what is asynchronous and what is synchronous and how to apply to Node.js. First, let's talk about the synchronous way. What is the synchronous way? You pick up a cup, then set your beverage and size on a coffee machine. You wait for the coffee to brew and dispense and be dispensed. Then add sugar and cream and enjoy your coffee. This is synchronous thing, and the key point here is this waiting time. You are waiting for some task to be completed, and then after you can do the next step. If this is not completed, you cannot do 4th and 5th step. So this is synchronous. Let's talk about the asynchronous way. Same thing, you can do something like this. First, you need to select your beverage and sizes on your coffee machine. while the coffee machine is brewing the coffee, you can pick up the cup, add sugar and cream, place it under the dispenser, then coffee will be dispensed and you enjoy the coffee. You can see there is no waiting time, because where the first thing is taking time, first task is taking time, you are doing some other task. You are not waiting for the task to be completed. So this is called asynchronous, no waiting. And how this asynchronous thing applied to Node.js? Now, Node.js works on a single thread. This means you can only do one task at a time. So if the client is sending a request to Node.js and the server is busy doing something, then another request is coming to the Node.js, what's going to happen is this server task is moved to the call stack, and then the second request will be accepted and executed. So this is the way to understand asynchronous behavior. Do not wait for any task. If there is any task which is taking time, move that to the call stack. And what is call stack, how it's going to work, we will talk about that later once we understand the basics of Node.js. Now it's the time to start with the real coding. Let's see how we can get the Node.js in our system. Let's see what we are going to create at the end of this course and what is the real goal. So here we have localhost 3001, the port I'm using is 3001, send, and we are having an HTML. But what if I provide anything which is not available in our website? It says page not found, again an HTML. We are sending all these HTML thing through Express. Before that, we are going to use just Node.js to send the HTML, but after the course will progress, we will use the Express. And we also have a SignUp route with the post request. If I go, it should be actually sign up with auth sign up. Okay, and now we can see we have these data sarthak1@bitfumes.com, password is password. With the post request, if I send it here, you can see I have created the user, and now this user is having password encrypted, or we are using bcrypt library. With this, since we have this user, why don't we log in our user? So just go with the post request of login on the auth/login with these two details like email and the password. If I send, you can see I'm getting this access token. This is a JWT access token, and we are using JSON web token library. Once again, copy this, and we can see we have this header, bearer, and then we can pass this token. Now, what if we don't have this token, and what are the protected routes? So something like book. We have a full CRUD operation of the book. So if I click here, you can see we are able to get these books. But if I am not sending this authorization token, I'm getting unauthorized. That's great. So this is for the book. It's not just like this. We can also create some book. So we can say we can comment these two. Can we do comment? Yeah, we can do. So we have that title of demo, and author is Sarthak, and this is a post request for our /book. Click on send, and it should be a proper JSON. Click on send, and now it says book is stored. Let's try to fetch all the books, and at the last you can see demo book is there. Cool. And this is for the book, and we have full CRUD operation like update, delete, getting a single book with the ID. That's also going to work. So let's try to fetch a single book like here, get it, and yep, we have the single book detail. Not just these things, these are obviously the major level thing. We are going to use a lot of amazing package like bcrypt, body parser, express obviously, JSON Web Token, MongoDB, Mongoose, Nodemon, and Pug. Pug is the template engine for our application. We are going to create multiple route file. We will going to use a middleware. We will going to create the user model and the book model, creating the schema for these things. We will create a database file where we will connect with first with the MongoDB only and finally with the Mongoose. And we will also work with the controllers. This project is not just for simple learning. It has full thing from what is Node.js to creating an authenticated CRUD application using Node.js and Express. So I think this is an amazing course on the internet which is available just for you, absolutely free. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, which is absolutely important for me, which is an encouragement for me to create more of these videos. And please subscribe to this Bitfumes YouTube channel if you have not subscribed. Comment your views about this video if you like to have anything else related to Node. If you want anything updation on this course, I will do that on my next course. Okay, so I'm really excited for this. Let's start this journey. To get started with Node.js, you first need to go and search for Node, and here we are. So the website is nodejs.org. Once you go on this page, that means land on this website, it will ask you to download for your operating system. Since I'm using macOS, so that's why it's asking for that. Now you have two options. One is the LTS. LTS stands for long-term support, and this is the latest and current version. You always need to go to the LTS version if you are building a production application, but since we are going to learn about the Node.js, it's better to use the current version or latest feature. So you just need to click here and save this one. Once this one is saved, then you just need to click on it and install this. Once you install it, you completely done with the installation. Open your terminal if you are on Mac. If you are on Windows, then you need to open your command prompt. Then if the installation is successful, then you will write node and -v, just this, and hit enter. If you are getting something like this, that means you have successfully installed Node in your system. If you are on macOS, you can also use brew install node. This is also going to work, and in this way you don't have to install from this Node website. Okay, so I suppose that you already have the Node and Node version is showing something like this. Then what next? You just need to say Node and get the help for it. Once you hit that, then you will get the long list of some of the things Node can do for you. But since we are going to start with it, so we can just say Node and hit enter. Now you can see something is prompt up. This is called REPL. So read, evaluate, print and loop, called REPL. That means here you can write some command and that's going to execute it by Node.js. Like 2 + 2. Obviously it's 4. But this is just a math. Let's do something JavaScript, and which is the most famous console.log. And here I can say Sarthak. Hit enter, and you can see we are having two things. One is Sarthak and second is undefined. Isn't it similar to the console we have here on our browser? So open this. Let me zoom this for you. And I'm going to say console.log Sarthak. And here we are getting exactly same result. Sarthak and undefined. So what is the difference between browser JavaScript, which is here, and Node.js JavaScript, which is executed here? Because this seems like exactly same thing. Now let's talk about the difference between browser JavaScript and Node JavaScript. So the very first thing you need to understand is that browser has DOM, the document object model, but Node doesn't have it. What that mean? So I'm on this browser, I have opened the Node website, and if I click on element, you can see all these HTML you can see is considered as a DOM, document object model. But this thing is not available on our Node. So if I go to the terminal, it's not there. What's the second thing? Window. So since we don't have any DOM thing, we don't have any window. So if I go on the browser, if I say window dot, and you can see we are having long list of window object and window elements. Now, if I open the terminal for getting into the node, if I try to type window and hit enter, you can see it says window is not defined. It's not available in the node. Now, the important thing is with the browser JavaScript, you can create the interactive application. Now, what I mean by interactive application? Interactive means user can interact directly with your application. So something like this, if I just zoom out, if I do this, you can see this is actually a button and I can click on it. User, as a user, I can interact with the JavaScript here. But if I open the terminal, there is no interaction between that because it's all running on the server end. So there will be no possibility of interaction, and that's why the node can create the server side apps. Now, since the browser doesn't need any file system, no file is required to run the browser website. So there is no file system. File system basically means the directory structure where the code is running. So code is actually executed inside of the browser. So that's why they doesn't need any file system. But Nodejs code is executed on the server end, and there the code is placed on some directory. And we need the directory structure. We need to create the file, delete the file, lots of things we can do with the node, and that's why node has the file system. Next, the browser works, most of the browser nowadays works on the latest ES6 modules. But Node, on the contrary, doesn't support the latest version of this JavaScript. It still uses CommonJS. What is the difference between ES6 module and CommonJS? Simply, if you can import anything from any other file, generally you have seen in React, it's like import React from React. We do something like this. But if you have any library, obviously it's not available here. So if you have any library in Node, so we can just say require and then we say Nodejs. Okay, but this, so first we can say underscore like this, or we can say Nodejs is equal to something like this. But if we want to import the Nodejs in the ES6, we need to say import Nodejs from hey Nodejs. So this one, these two, when we say the import word is a ES6 module syntax, but this one is the old CommonJS thing which is used by Node.js. So I think you get the point. What is the difference between the Node.js and the browser.js? We know that Node.js can do a lot of things. We have seen in the REPL thing, or we can say Node.js environment here. But how we can get out of this? So you just need to press Ctrl D to get out of it. That's so easy. But can we run a file or a code from a JavaScript file using Node.js? As we know, Node.js is useful to run or execute the JavaScript code. That's so easy. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to create a file called app.js. So app.js. Oops, where is A? Yeah. Now inside this, I'm going to say console, first say console.log, and once again I write my name Sarthak, and then I press escape :WQ. So you can see if I go here, it's escape to get out of anything what I'm doing, :WQ. This is a vim command. Okay, so if I hit enter, you will now see that a file should be created which is called app.js. Now we need to run this app.js, so we can say node app.js. Okay, that's so easy. If I hit enter, you can see we have the printed out as Sarthak, which is so nice. We can do more thing with this. What next? We can also do for the console of error. So let's go at the end of it, and I say console.error of this is error, and then if I once again press escape :WQ and run it with node, you can see it's printed like this is error, although we cannot differentiate right now because there is no colored scheme for this. Anyways, let's do some magic thing. Now this time, instead of using vim, I will open this file using the VS Code. So I will just open this inside this VS Code, and now we have this app.js. Let's zoom this for you, and now I'm going to use the for loop. So I say for loop like here, and I'm going to run it for, let's say 10 times, and every time I run, I'm just going to log the index, which is the actual iterated number. So this should be there. Now instead of using this terminal, I'm going to close it, because now I have the integrated terminal of this VS Code. So I will go and click on new terminal, which is here, and now I just say node app.js, and this should print 10 times, and you can see from 0 to 9 we have this. Cool. So that's so easy. Now what else we can do with this? Since this is running the JavaScript, but it's also running through Node.js, so can we do something Node.js related? Let's do that to create a server. But before that, since we are starting a project, let's create a GitHub repository. So I am on GitHub creating new repository, and I will say Node.js course 2022, and this is on the Bitfumes Node.js course, and it's going to be public. So create, and here on this, first I will create a .git ignore, which is absolutely important to actually escape some file to moving into the Git. This is file we have it with, which is extremely important. And second, I will create another file called readme.md. I think this should be like this, readme.md, and this is Node.js course. Okay, finally we have all the file. Let's initiate a fresh new Git repository. So I'd say git init, and that's created, and then I will go here and use these three codes because it's already there, and I just need to actually I have to first do the commit. Okay, so git add all, and then I say git commit my node course, and don't worry about this, this is just for me, you don't have to write any code. So finally it's done, and then I can copy these three commands and paste it, run it, and remote already available. Anyways, if I just reload this, you can see my file is there. Cool. So now let's move to the documentation to create the server. You know, I'm a big fan of learning something from the documentation. So here we are, and whatever version you are using, just go to the API documentation for that. Click on API docs, and here we get the list of all the modules we have inside the Node.js. Now, since we want to create the server, and server can be created through HTTP module, let's search for it. So I'm going to press Control F or Command F to create the server, to search for the HTTP, and here we are. and click on HTTP. And inside this, we have a lot of functions, a lot of methods are available, but let's search for create server. And here we are, and it's given everything you need for this method, but here we also have the example. So first you need to import it from the node, then you can just say create server, and finally server.listen. Let's do this. So let's open the app.js, and first thing, as we know, we need to say const and HTTP, or we can call it server. They are calling HTTP. Okay, no server. So require, and we require HTTP. Now you will say from where it's requiring. We don't have any node module directory. So since we are going to run this through node, it's going to be available from the node, because node environment is running this file. So it will fetch from the node environment. Now, next is you need to say const server is equal to HTTP. Now, since our VS Code know this is from the node, and if we hit dot, we have the option. So let's say create server. There we are. And now if I give the parenthesis, VS Code is suggesting me that, hey, first is request listener, and second is it's having the type, and then whatever you want to do. So we need to fetch from here, which is called request and response. Then I will use the arrow function, and then I just say response dot writing what? Writing hello node. Okay. And at the last, I need to say server dot listen to the port of, let's say, 3000. And now I will open the integrated terminal here and run this file. Now you can see this seems like it stuck, but actually the server is a long running or never ending process. So it's running, it's waiting for something. And now what we can do, we can go to the server like by going to the localhost 3000, and if I hit enter, you can see it's keep on running. Why? Because we have not said to our server that, hey server, after you write it, just end it. So we just need to say write.end. Since we have made changes here, we need to restart the server. So now it's restarted, run it, and yes, boom, you can see we are having here the hello node, which we have written from here. We can do more thing which is given here, like we can return the response as proper JSON and write the content. So just copy this to show, because this is just the beginning. I'm not explaining you like everything. We will do that later, but for now, if I see, go here, run it, and you can see we are having a proper response of data as hello world. Cool. So this is the first ever thing you have experienced with Node.js, how powerful Node.js is. But this is not the thing, like this is not the end. This is the beginning, and we don't worry about the code we have written. Don't worry about how this is happening, what this is doing, what is response, what is JSON stringify and server. We're going to explain everything. Let's start from scratch and once again see how powerful Node is. Before ending this, I just need to say git commit with this thing, and once again, don't worry about this enter passphrase, you don't have to do that, and I will go and pushing to our GitHub repository. That means for every lesson or every episode, you will have the code at that point. When we load this HTTP library, we just said that, hey, require HTTP, and Node will know that, hey, if nothing is defined, then I'm going to load it from the node if Node has this. This is called the CommonJS way of importing or loading any library or any package. So this means that if I say here node :HTTP, it's going to work similarly. So if I reload this, you can see it's working absolutely fine. So this means if we can define it or not, it doesn't matter. But let's see how we can create new file and import something from there in a CommonJS way. So let's create a file called circle.js, and here I'm going to say exports.area, and for now I'm going to create a function. You can create a function like this, or you can use the arrow function. I'm going to just say I am from circle file, circle.js file. Okay, so we need to import that circle thing from this file into our app.js. Now I'm going to just remove this thing by commenting it. I just comment this also so that it will be available for you but not going to affect our code. Now I will say const area is equal to require, but how we will say that circle.js. So if I say circle and try to run area as a function, what's going to happen if I run this Node.js? Run node app. Now it says that, hey, I can't find module called circle. Why? What happened? But because, you know, whenever we say that, hey, require something, Node will first go and check inside the Node modules system. Now, since Node doesn't have any module called circle, it says that, hey, can't find the module. So how you will be loading this circle.js? You need to specify that, hey, this is not the global or node related one, it's a local file. So what you need to do, you need to provide the path, and you just need to say dot slash here dot slash circle. Now when you say dot slash, once this is coming inside this require, Node will know that, hey, this is something from your local, it's not it's not from the Node thing. Okay, that's done. Save this file and run it. Again, we have area, but it says area is not a function. So actually I need to destructure it. So I just say destructure the area, and if I now run it, you can see I'm from circle.js file. Okay, so what does destructuring mean? So if I just say like here, hey, this is circle, and I say circle dot, and you can see now we have the area. Okay, and we can call this function. So this is going to work exactly same, but we can destructure. That means I can say this is going to be an object. So if I just console.log of circle, you will see that we have a object which is having a element called area. Now instead of having this, we can directly say that, hey, this is going to be some area thing inside this object which we were calling circle. So just import it directly. So now I can use the area. Great, this is working fine, and this is the way we can export something. So what we can do, we can simply say, hey, this function is going to accept the radius, and then it's just going to return 2 pi r. So area of circle, yeah, pi r square. Actually 2 pi r is the circumference, so area of circle is pi r square. So I say math.pi, this is the basic JavaScript thing. Math.pi is like 2 pi r square, so r into r. Okay, so that's great, and I just need to write it like 5. If I do the 5 and I say, hey, give me the area with the 5 as a radius, and this is the radius, this is the area actually with the 5 as a radius. Cool. So this is the way we can import the library or anything which is exported here using the common module. Now one more thing is, like, if we have one more called circumference. So circumference, okay, this is going to be a function once again which is accepting the radius, and it's going to return 2 into math.pi into r. Okay, that's also going to work. So I just say, hey, give me the circumference and give me the circumference with the radius of 5. Running, and we are getting both of them. This is cool. You can see we are repeating ourselves by saying export keyword 2 times. What we can do actually, we can create a class. So I just need to say class circle, and inside this I'm going to create two methods. First is going to have this one, which is going to return me this like here, and second is going to have, let's have something like this. So r, which is going to return something like this, and second function will be once again like this, but it's going to return the circumference. Okay, so this is good, but let's call this function something. So function circumference and function area. Okay, and if we are defining this as a method, so we don't have to define the keyword as the function keyword. So now instead of exporting every function, I can just say module dot export is and returning or exporting the circle. Okay, like this. Oh, I forgot the equal to sign. Now I have exported the module. Let's see what's going to happen if I just comment this and say this is going to be circle and log the circle. Let's see, and it's a class. Okay, so I'm going to create a const circle is equal to new of circle. Okay, and then I say hey circle dot area, and it's undefined. Why? So we are not returning. Yes, so once again run it and it's working. So this is the way we can actually have either a full module or independent functions just like this one using the CommonJS thing. That's really great. Now let's talk about some global objects available in Node.js. For that, let's go to the node. Let's go to the terminal first, and I just go inside the REPL of node, and then I say global, and then I press dot and then hit tab. It's very important to hit tab after pressing dot, no space, nothing, just global, no space, then dot, no space, and then hit tab. Not one time, two times. So once we have this, you can see I have a full list of all the global objects available here. There are a lot of things like proto, value of, constructor, then we have array, blob, boolean, buffer, date, error. But the thing which I am interested to tell you is the very important one, which is the console. So I just search for console here, and you can see we have this console. Now since we have the console, where it was, hey, sometime it's just gone. Yeah, so global.console is there. What is the meaning of this? Remember, I told you that we can actually say console.log and something. That's good, that's working absolutely fine. But actually this is inside of the global object. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to say global.console.log of something with this, and you can see we are getting exactly same result. Why? So these all global objects are available on the Node.js environment without importing anything, without doing anything. So whether I'm saying global.console.log or I'm saying console.log, it's exactly same. One very useful one is the process. So once again, if I do this and I search for process, here we are. This is the one, global.process. So similar to that, we can say process. We are getting this thing, all the things. So we can say process.env, and I think node.env, it's like process.env dot node. What is that? So something is okay. Let's have the username or home, maybe. What a lot of things are available on the process. So let's have and this time see what we are getting. Process.env, and here we have the print working directory. So we say .pwd, print working directory, it's there. And if I do the same thing, global dot process dot env dot print working directory, and like this, exactly same. And this is very useful because we are going to create many things where we need these long running things, or we need these objects which are available without importing, without anything. Now there is one more important global object. I'm saying this global object and I'm smiling, that means there is some catch. So what I will do, I will go on this file on app.js, and then I will just going to say console.log of, let's say, underscore dir name. It's a directory name called dir name. If I run this one, you can see I'm getting the full list of the directory where I have this project. Now I can also get the file name, and that's also here with the full path. And we have also seen one more thing, like circle has this module export. So seems like these things, module exports are from the global object. So this means just like we do the process.env.print working directory, if I do this, you can see we are getting that. So similar to this, we can do for global.process, it will. So if I do the global.process.env.pwd, then it's working. So can we do the similar thing with the dir name? So dir name, can we do this? Let's see. If I do this, it says undefined. What about file name? Underscore file name. It's still not there. What about exports? Still not there. So what happening here? Seems like if I use the dir name directly or file name directly, seems like these are the global object, but it's not. So to understand that, let's go on the documentation, and here you can see I am on the documentation and search for global module, and here we are. You can go here and scroll down, and here it's given that object are available in all module. These are object are available in all the module, but they are appear to be global, but they are not. So they are not a global object, or it's working like a global object, but it's not from the global module. We can say it's available in every module. So dir name, file name, export, require, module, these five are global object but not appear to be global, but they are not actually from the global package or global module. They are readily available in all of the module. So these are the important things you need to learn about what are the global object with the global object and what are globally available object, just like file name. Now let's move ahead in Node.js by having any npm package into our Node project. But you know how we can get that? We don't know. But before understanding and using any npm library, we need to first understand how we can make our project ready to accept any external library. So first thing we need to do is npm init. Since you already have Node running, you just need to check do you have the npm running properly or not. It's 99.9% that you will have npm if you have the Node. Cool. Now what's going to happen next? This time I just say npm init, and now if I hit enter, it's going to ask me some of the question to create a package.json file. a package.json file, which is responsible for managing all the packages we import through npm. Okay, so it says, what is your package name? Package name means project name, consider it. Yes, it's done. Version is 1.0, no description, and entry point is app.js. You can see we have this app.js. If we want to have index.js or main.js, you can change it. Then it says any test command, no. Git repository, we already have. Keywords, nothing. Author, nothing. License, nothing. Everything is fine. Hit enter and that's done. You can see a package.json with all our information is having here. But it's not good to have, it's very boring to have lots of yes. So what I can do, I can just remove this and I can just say npm init with a y flag. When I say y, that means for every question you ask, I'm saying yes. So if I hit enter, you can see exactly similar thing is happened and we have the package.json file right here right now. Okay, so this file is there and now you can see it's saying that main, the entry point is app.js. That's really cool. Now, how we can use this package.json? There are two ways. One, we can load the dependencies. Second, we can run the script. So one is having a test script. We don't want this. So we just want to have npm run dev. So here inside the dev, what I'm going to do, I'm going to run this command, node app.js. That's it. Now, instead of having node app.js here on my console, I'm just going to say npm run dev, which is easy for me. Now, if I run it, you can see it says, hey, I have this one and it's running for the app.js. It's running on the main, not running the script. That's not good. Or actually, yeah. So now you can see it's running properly and in my app.js, I just have this console log. What I'm going to do, I'm going to just remove these things and uncomment this server thing and then run the server. And you can see the server is really running and I can go and reload. Yes, it is there. That's how we can have our package.json and run script or a dev script. Okay, so that's done. But you know what's happening here? Whenever we want to change something, so suppose I just want to console log. So I say log, or what are the things we have on the console? Let's see. We have, do we have the message? No, console time, console success, console log off. And here I say that, here I say server is running at how I can do that? I can say https : not s, http : localhost : 3000, and that's running here. Now I restart the server like this, and yeah, you can see we have the server, and I press command and click, I open it on a new tab. That's good. But what if I have to change the port? So what I can do, I can create const port is, let's say 4000 this time, and here I'm going to use I'm going to use the port and also here port. Now whenever I do any changes in my app.js, I need to restart my server. That's really a pain when you want to do a lot of changes in your application. Although 4000 port is working, but if we want to change back to 3000, we still need to restart the server. That's really a pain. What is a good solution for it? Using a npm library, and that's why I have this package.json. So how we can do that? For that, we need to go to npm.npmjs.com and search for Nodemon. And when I search it, the first result I get, let's open it, and it says that it will help to develop Node.js based application, automatically restarting the Node application when there is a change in the file. Okay, so we need to install it. How we can do that? Here is the command, npm I for install Nodemon. You can run this one, just click here, copy that and run it, or you can just run by saying npm install globally. What does it mean by globally? So now right now I can say that Nodemon, if I just run it, it's not available. Now suppose I say npm install -g, with a g means globally, and I say Nodemon. If I run it, see what's going to happen. Once this is done, this is globally installed. Now if I see my package.json, I can't see any Nodemon, but Nodemon is available throughout my system. So this means if I go on any terminal, so if I open it, I say Nodemon, you can see I have the Nodemon and I can get its version also. Yep, 2.0.19. So using this Nodemon, I can run my server and I can say app.js. You can see it's running on localhost 3000 and 3000 is working, 4000 is not working. When I do any change on the server, you can see it's detected some changes and now it is working on 4000. You can see it's really available right here. But installing some of the library globally is not a good idea. But before that, what I can do, I don't want to write Nodemon app.js every time. I really want to get back to npm run dev. So let's open the package.json. In this script, instead of node app.js, I can simply say, hey, use the Nodemon run the app.js file. Now if I run this, still it's using the Nodemon and running this file exactly the same. Okay, getting back to the global thing. Since we have installed it globally, it will be available on every project, but I don't want it. What I really want to have the Nodemon inside this application only, so that it will not affect any other application which is maybe using the older version of Nodemon. First, I will remove the Nodemon. So I say uninstall globally Nodemon. It's removed. And this means if I try to run the Nodemon, getting the version, it says it's not available. Now let's install this just for my project. I can use this command. I can say npm install Nodemon. You can also say, right, like -g for globally installation. So I is just a short form for install. Now I'm going to install it, and one thing is going to happen. It's installed. It's not available still on my system, but it's available on my package.json file. So if I open my package.json file, you can see we have a dependency, our first dependency of this project, which is Nodemon, and version is given. Okay, this means although my Nodemon is not available globally, I can run npm run dev, which will going to use the Nodemon, and it's running on port 4000. Now question comes, if I change port, it's doing its job. The question comes, where this Nodemon is available? If it is not available globally, somewhere it has to be installed. It's now installed on this node modules folder. So we have seen now two files. One is not a file, two things. One is node module directory or node module folder. Second is package lock.json. We will talk about this lock.json very soon, but let's see where is Nodemon. So if I open my node modules, I can see lot of dependencies. I just have installed one which is called Nodemon. Why I am getting a lot of other things? Because Nodemon still depend on some other things. So if I go to the Nodemon repository, I can open the package.json for Nodemon. You can see here we have lot of dependencies for Nodemon. So Nodemon need Chowkidar, Nodemon need debug. So it should be available on our node modules folder. So let's see. Yeah, we have a Chowkidar, we have a debug, and similarly Chowkidar may also need some other dependency. So Chowkidar need chai. as a dev dependency, or maybe normal dependency it should have. So it's not given here. Yeah, so AnyMatch braces is there, AnyMatch is there. So that's why we have a lot of directories inside the node module folder, but we are interested in saying that, hey, we have the Nodemon here inside our project. So that's how we get the Nodemon. But what about this package lock.json? So package lock.json, as the name suggests, it's going to lock all the versions of each and every dependency we have inside this node module. So it's locking the version so that whenever you install all these dependencies once again, it's not going to take time to find which version to install. It will check on the lock and install it directly. So if I kill it, remove the node module, or I can just say rm rf node modules, and node module is gone. Now if I say npm install, you will see it's quickly going to install all these things because everything is directly coming from package.lock.json file. Ooh, so we have seen how we can install any external dependency and using it in our package.json, how node modules comes into the picture. And next, since these package lock.json, or maybe especially node modules directory, we don't want to push it to our Git repository because it's very heavy and we don't want it. So that's why I have this git ignore file. Now here I just say, hey, ignore node modules directory, and if I just do that, it should be ignored. And this means that if I see what is the status, git status, you can see there is only information about three things. Git ignore is changed, package lock, and package JSON. So if I comment this and save this and check out the status, we were going to have node modules included. We don't want that. So let's do the status and boom. So I'm going to just have it and push it. Cool. I'm here on this app.js where we have this very nice server using the HTTP library. Now, what's going to happen when I go to /about on localhost? It is still giving me the hello world. What if I go to the login page? Still. So what happened here? It's going to return this hello world for every request from the browser. I don't want that. So if I go on this request, you can see we have this request. Inside this, if I go and I say request.url, request has some URL thing. If I reload on login/login, you can see I'm getting this /login. Now, if I go on about, it says just about. And if I go on the base URL, it says only /. Don't worry about this favicon, just ignore it. Okay, so I can do the if else statement and I can say if request.url is equal to /, then return these things like here. Okay, I'm removing this and let's see what's going to happen. So if I go, yes, it's reloading and doing the hello world for the base URL. But what happened if I go on the about and reload the page? It's keep on loading because for this one, we haven't tell our server that what that server has to do. So what we have to do here, we can say that, hey, if this is a /about page, then return that I am about page. That's good. Now same, it's restarted because we have Nodemon, and now you can see it says I am about page. If I go on the hello world, it says, yeah, it's if I go on the home page, it says hello world. Now what about the login? Once again, server have no idea what it has to do. So that means we have to say one thing like, for any other, we can just say else and write it down with all these things. So I just say page not found, page not found. Okay, so restart it and go on the localhost 3000/login. It should return me that. So it's about is working. What about login or anything? Actually, it should return it, but something happened. Code getting action from ESLint, whatever it is. Maybe I need to restart it. Sometime something happened. Yeah, okay, so page not found. For any other route which is not available on our if else statement, it's going to give me the page not found. About is working absolutely fine, and home page is also working right. But you know, when we have not found page, we should have a 404 as a status code. So I am doing it. I don't know what happened to my VS Code, and that's why I have to restart it. So that's why. And now if I say login, it is not available because it should be 404, but something bad happened and it has to restart it. Okay, so now it says 404, but we can't see the status code. For that, we can open the Insomnia. So Insomnia we can open, and here we have the Insomnia, and now I can say on the 3000/login, if I do a get request, send it, you can see we are getting the 404. But for about page, we are getting 200. That's really good. And this is how we handle the routing in basic HTTP node server. For our Node.js application, we are having this routing for about, for homepage, and for every other page. Now, I don't like to return this with the JSON file. Actually, I want to write some data. So I just say response.write, and writing page not found. Okay, so let's run this server, and once again, it should be, yeah, it's running actually. That's why it's giving error. So go here and /login is there. It says page not found, but I don't want to have this page not found. First, you can see it. Yes, it is giving the page not found, but it is still loading because we have not ended the request. So once we done with that, we just need to say request.end. Okay, so restarting it, reload, and it's not saving this. What happened? Yeah, now once again, if I reload, page not found, but page not found should be HTML, isn't it? So I can do something like, hey, I want one h1 tag /h1 tag, and once again it should be having some issue with that. Now it's restarted, reload, and oh, that's really bad. What happened here is it actually, or I can say it's literally printed the thing which I said. It's not printed as the compiled version of HTML. How we can do that? The problem here is this content type. What content type we are sending? We are sending application JSON, so that's why it's taking time. Now I just need to say it's a text HTML. Okay, so now restart, and this problem with my VS Code, reload, and boom, you can see we have a proper HTML code. If I inspect it, I can find all the body with HTML. That's really nice. So can we do the same thing for other? Yes, we just need to change the content type, and the content type will become text/HTML, and we are ending this without anything, but we just need to say response.write inside h1 tag. I am about page /h1 and close it. Okay, and this bad thing happening to my VS Code, and I can do the same for this text/HTML, change it like here, response.write, writing with the h1 tag, welcome to Node.js course, closing the h1 tag. Done. So it has to be restarted. Finally, that's done. Go to the about page. I'm about page. Go to the home page and it says welcome to Node.js course. That's good, but you know what's happening here is something bad happening, but we know it's crashing. We will tackle that later, but every time we need to write the HTML as a string. It's not good for us. So what we can do, we can create some pages here and then we serve these HTML from that pages. How we can do that? Let's create a directory called template, or we can call it page. I call it page. So it's creating. Maybe I need to restart the VS Code. It's restart, reload actually. Reload window. Okay, once again create the page. Yeah, it's done. And now I'm going to say home.html, and here I will cut this from here and paste it like this. Okay, that seems like a good idea. And server is running. Now how we can return a file? So file is inside the page slash home.html. Now if I do this, what's going to happen? Let's see. It's literally printed out the home slash page slash home.html. One thing is that how we need to tell to our Node.js that we want to return a HTML file. So basically we need to first read the HTML file, the content of this HTML file, and then send that here. That's really challenge. No worries, because we are going to understand about the file system library or file system in Node.js. We want to serve this file by reading this file, the file content, the HTML we have inside this, and then display it here. For that, we first need to read the file, and for reading purpose, we will go on the documentation, search for file system, which is here, and then we need to read the file. How we can read it? So let's search for read file, and there are many read files. So there are fs promise, we don't want, we just want the fs one. So click here on the read file, and here we get the code. So you can see it says that you just need to import read file from file system, and in this case we will use the CommonJS, the require one, not the import one. And then we can say read file and the file name and some callback. Okay, let's try this one. So here we are, and we are getting some kind of error, and we want to handle it. It's crashing our application, and it says that write after end. So you are trying to write after you have sent the end part. So we just remove this end from these places and only provide the end after everything is done. Okay, now first we need to have the file system, and we say require fs, the file system. You can also say node file system, and that's going to work, but let's have this one only. Okay, now inside this route, the URL of base URL, I just need to say fs dot read file, and after that we need to provide the file path, which is this one. Okay, so file path, and then we have some callback. In this callback, you can see we get first the error, and second whatever the data I have. Okay, so first we get the error, so err, and then the data. So we need to handle the error, it's very important. So if there is some error, then throw that error. So let's have this like here, and that's cool. But after that we need to write the data. We need to write the header, or we can write the header directly before it, and then we can say, hey, this is going to be the writing of the data. Okay, that's very nice. let's go on localhost 3000, reload this page, and boom, you can see we have the page content and it says that page not found. But we don't want that because on our home.html we said welcome to Node.js. What happened here? So we are on base URL, but still we are getting this page not found. So what we are going to do, we need to just log this error, see if there is any error or not. Reload, and now it says there is no error. So what about the data? So if I reload, and now we have the data. So we have the data, but this data is in some different format. We need to have the actual content, which is this one, as a text. So how we can tell our file system that, hey file system, use some different coding scheme? So here we should get something, and it says that if option is a string, then it specify the encoding. So what kind of encoding we want? The second parameter, we just need to define that it should be the UTF-8. Okay, that's good. So this means here I just need to say UTF-8, this one. Now after doing that, if I go reload the page, and yeah, we are getting this welcome to Node.js with the h1 tag. Now since we are getting this, we should be able to see this response.write, but it is still giving me the page not found. Why? Because maybe I need to say else if, and finally the else part. Okay, now reload, and it's not doing anything. It's having blank page. What happened here? You can see we are not getting anything. Even we are not getting any any error. So something is not good here. Maybe we can try to end it right here at this point. Oh, that's good. Welcome to Node.js course. So we are ending this here, and I believe we need to end it as soon as possible inside of this file system. Okay, so that's okay if we can end it here. And now since we have if else, it will go only on one place at a time, so it will not give that previous kind of error. So yeah, it's welcome to Node.js. Similar to that, we need to do for the about page. So copy that, and instead of this end and write, I just paste it and I say, hey, this is going to be the about page, and let's copy and paste it for about page. And here it says I am about page. Okay, and this should work on the about page also, slash about. Yeah, it's working on the about page. And finally 404. So let's say 404.html, and this just say page not found, dun dun dun, 3 dot. Okay, and at last we just need to say, hey, these things will work like this, and 404 page. And if I say login, yeah, page not found. You know, with file system, it's not just we can read file, we can also write on the file. So how do we do that? Let's search for write file, and we get it here. Let's go here and we get the code. It's very easy. You just need to say write file, the file name, the data, and the callback. Cool. Let's do that. But for that, I will create a new endpoint, and I will call this create file. So create hyphen file, and here instead of read file, I will say write file, and writing file on a directory called temp directory. So I will say temp slash test.html. Okay, and here I need to provide some data. So just like that, I will say h1 tag, h1 and I say this is a test file. Okay, now if there is any error, we can throw that error, otherwise we just write the content. Okay, that's very nice. And finally we can say, like, what is the data is file is created. Okay, that's done. Very easy. So let's see what's going to happen. Create file, and it's not working. What happened? Let's open the console and see what's going to happen. It first say, hey, there is no such directory or file called test. Yeah, there is no directory, so let's create it. So I'm going to create called temp directory, and now I will save this file once again to restart the server because of the Nodemon. And now if I reload this, you can see it says file is created. That means the file should be available on the temp test.html. Boom, that's there. Wow, that's so easy. But now what I will do, I will move this in a constant called data, and then use that data like this, and it's also going to work. So once again reload, and you will see that it's still here. But you know, I have actually did that 2 times, so it should be like having 2 times. No, when you say write, that means it will going to write something inside this. So if I say updated content, reload this page, what do you think? Is this going to be the updated text or the previous text? Let's see. Yeah, you can see it's updated one. That means write file will put all the data, replace it with the previous content if we have. How do we actually append it? So when I say append the data, so instead of write file, you just need to say append file. Now, as soon as you reload, as many times you are reloading, that many times you will see that text coming here. Okay, that's so nice. We have done that, and now what I will do some crazy stuff. I will just go and use the for loop, and for loop will going to run for 100 times. Okay, once 100,000 times, and for every 100,000 iterations I will do this thing. And obviously we don't want to write the content, so what I will do, I will just move this out of here. Okay, so let's go reload it. Something happened. Check server is crashed. It says too many file open because it's not completing the task every time you open the file. But you can see this page is having a lot of time that HTML. If I save it, you can see it formatted, and boom, it's having almost 61,000 times. So it's not running for full 100,000. It ran for 61,000 times something. So because of the file opening thing. Anyways, we have 61,000 times running. So let's try this one more time. If I reload, it should be crashed. Yes, it is crashed, but once again it should have the data on our file with the content of 122,000. Now this file become very big, so if I reveal this in Finder and try to find it, it's a 3.3 MB of file. We can also do that with some magic of once again reloading, and to make server rerunning, one more time reload, and it should be now having too many content, like 6.5 MB data. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to do some again crazy stuff. I am going to create another endpoint, or maybe on the about page. Instead of about page, let's serve the temp/test.html. Let's see what's going to happen when I go on the /about page, hit enter. You can see it's keep loading and loading, and my browser is almost crashed, but it's not that crashed. So let's see what we have next in Node.js. So now let's talk about the event loop. What is event loop and why we need it? But before that, we know that Node.js can be asynchronous in nature and have non-blocking I/O, input output. It doesn't wait for any function to complete it. It's a killer feature of Node.js which made it that successful. But we also know that Node.js runs on single thread and there is one thing happening at a time. If only one thing happening at a time, that's a limitation. But Node converted that limitation into a helpful feature. How? Using the event loop system and the call stack system. So what is event loop? Event loop basically means continuously checking the call stack to see if there is any function. Now question comes, what is call stack and what it is doing? So think about a loop in Node.js which is constantly running and checking somewhere called call stack for any function to be executed. So let's go and understand that with an example. Now suppose we have this kind of example which is having three functions, func1, func2 and func3, and let's see how we can call it. For that, let's go to the VS Code and here I'm going to create that. So first const func1 is going to console log func1. Okay, similarly we have the func2 which is logging func2, and func3 is going to log func3, but then it will also call func2 and func1. So first it's calling func1 and then func2, and to run this, execute this, I'm going to finally call func3. Now what's going to happen here? Let's get back to the slides and understand it. Here we have func3. So first what's going to happen? Func3 will going to run. Then it will go inside this function. It will execute the console log for func3 and then calling func1, which is going to log func1, and then calling func2, which is going to log func2. It's confusing? Yes. Let's understand it deeply. So there's a call stack. Whenever Node see any function, move that to a call stack or a collection of function to be executed. So first it's going to run func3. Okay, func3 is there. Now what's going to happen after that? After that, func3 will first going to log the func3, not func. It's just func3. So it will execute this code. Now func3 is still running, but after that will be done and it will go inside of the func1 here. Okay, so move it here like this. Okay, then what's going to happen in the func1? Inside the func1, it's going to console log func1. That means on the call stack another log comes which is called func1. So that will go like here. Now after that, what's going to happen? This is going to be done. The func1 console log is done, so it will be removed from the call stack, but still we are on func1. It will check for anything else on the func1. Okay, it's not, anything is not there, then it will complete the func1. So function 1 is completed. Now what's going to happen next? Once the function 1 is completed, we are still on function 3. Function 3 is still running. So it will check, okay, this is done, what next? Func2. Now it will go on the func2. That means func2 will come on the call stack. Now it need to execute func2. So it will go inside of the func2, which is going to log this thing. That means now on the call stack, func2 log come. Once this is completed, then it will check for any other thing on the func2. It says that okay, nothing is there, and then it will get back to func3. Now it will again check on the func3. Is there anything left to run? It says, oh, nothing. So I need to complete the func3. So let's see what's going to happen. Let's open the console and you can see func3, 1 and 2. This is the call stack. So this is fine, but let's do something great. I'm going to put this func1 in a timeout. Okay, and this timeout is a 0-second timeout. That means it's not going to wait for any second, just execute this one. Now what do you think? What should be the console log sequence? So one thing more, we can also directly call this func1 since this need the function. So yes, we are giving it. Now this will become easy. So in our previous experience, first it will console log func3 because it's there. Then it will go inside the timeout, and timeout is a function. And then it says, okay, we need to go inside the func1. Func1 is logging the console log. So it should be giving func1. And after that, it should give us func2. This should be the sequence which is from our previous experience. But let's open the console log and see. This is not happening. First, we are getting func3. That's okay. Then we are getting func2, which is not good. Then we are getting server is running, which is absolutely not good. And finally, at the last, we are getting func1, which is inside the set timeout. So what's happening here? Now, what's happening here is the set timeout is a time taking process. Although this is having 0 millisecond, but Node will know that this will take some time. So it will move this on the call stack, and then it will say that, okay, I will execute it at the last. Once everything is done, every instant thing is done, I will execute this set timeout at the last, and then I will check for the timeout, like when I need to execute this. But the sequence will be first func3, set timeout, keep it aside, keep it on the call stack, and we'll take care of it later. Then it will execute func2. Then it will go at the last. It will say, okay, there is a console log. If once everything is done, it says, oh, there is a time for set timeout. Let's see what is the timeout. Then it says, okay, 0 second, print it. Cool. So that's why we are getting func3 to server is running and the func1. Okay, that's done. One thing more we can do. What if we have a new promise, and this promise will going to have resolve and reject thing? Then I will say resolve, I am a promise, and I say dot. Then once this promise is resolved, then console log the response we are getting. Okay, now this should be a arrow function. What should be the sequence? Once again, we know that this timeout will be executed at the last. We don't know about this promise, so it will be like func3. Then this will be executed at the last. Don't know about the func2, so maybe this could be the second one, and third is func2, and fourth one will be func1. Is this going to be the sequence? Let's see. So this is the sequence, but what we are getting func3, but func2, server is running, I am promise, and function 1. So now something great is happening, which is like this promise is also moved apart and moved to the call stack, and it says that, okay, this is also a time consuming process. I will take care of it later once everything is done. Everything means every instant thing is done. So that's why it says that, okay, this is the promise, I will execute it, and let's save it. Yeah, executed. And after that it says that there's a set timeout. But why Node first running the promise and then running the timeout? What if I change the sequence like here? You can see still promise is running first and timeout is running after that. We need to understand what is the sequence, what is the priority for Node.js. Now we don't know why the Node.js is executing set timeout at the last and what is the priority list for the event loop to run different time consuming tasks like set timeout and promise. Before understanding that, I want to let you know about one more important thing, which is called process.nextTick. Now what is this next tick mean? So I will just log and I say I am next tick. Okay, so basically process.nextTick says that once everything is cleared from the call stack, that means everything is done, run this function or run this callback which is inside this next tick. Now what's going to happen if I just remove these two? I don't want this and I just want to run the func1. So what should be the sequence? Func3, func1, func2, server is running, and at the last it should give us the I am next tick. Okay, 3, 1, 2, server is running and I am the next tick. Why? Because after this there is nothing to execute. Call stack will be cleared. Now next thing, let's get back our set timeout and the promises. Now what should be the sequence where this next tick will come, where the set timeout log will come, and where the promise log will come? For that, let's open once again the console and there is some magic happening. Func3, func2 is good, func3, func2 is good, then server is running is good, and then since the call stack will become empty for the instant functions, it will say that okay, there is a time for next tick, so next tick is coming, and after that it will resolve the promise, and finally it will resolve the set timeout. So this is the real sequence. Let me write the sequence for you. So sequence for execution is, first it's going to execute the mini task, and mini task is the word I'm giving, and this is for the next tick. So from this event loop it will check for events and it says that okay, I need to execute these 3 time consuming things, and first one is the next tick, which is the mini task. Then comes the micro task. Micro tasks are like promises. Okay, so then it will execute the promises, and after that it will execute the macro task like set timeout or maybe set interval, something like that. Okay, so this is the sequence or the priority list for the Node.js to execute the functions using the event loop from the call stack, and I think you get the point. If you're not getting that point, I highly recommend you to go to nodejs.dev website and understand each and everything from this learn, and you can learn various other things also. That's great, and let's understand more thing in Node.js. We can do more things with the modules we have on the Node.js, but just to return a HTML file like this, we have to code a lot. So if I go to app.js and I remove all these things, which is just for understanding call stack, you can see we need to do a lot of things just to return or print the HTML content from this HTML file. It's, yes, a core Node.js thing, but time consuming. For making things easy, we need to migrate to the framework of Node.js, which is called ExpressJS. It's absolutely important to understand ExpressJS because 90% of the time you will going to use, 95% of the time you will going to use the ExpressJS. Okay, so this is the website of ExpressJS. You can check out the version. Currently 5 version is in beta, but we need to have this in our Node project. So right now our Node project is structured something like this. On our package.json, we just have the Nodemon as the dependency, but we also want the Express to be here. How it's going to be available? First, we need to run this command, npm install express, and save is just an optional thing which is going to have this here inside the dependency. So I just say here npm install express. Okay, now hit enter and this is installed. Wow, that's so light. You can see the version is given here on the Express and we are done with that. How do we get started with ExpressJS? So we need to go to the getting started part and we have the installation which we have done on our page. Now we need to go to the hello world. It's absolutely important to follow the documentation for anything. I highly recommend to follow documentation every time you do anything. First, you need to get the Express, then you need to create the app by just calling the Express, and then you can get started with this like here. Okay, seems like so easy stuff. Let's go here, go to the app.js, and now I'm not going to remove everything. What I will do, I will actually call main.js and do the Express thing here. So it's going to be Express and I say require Express, and you can see since I have installed it, my VS Code is giving suggestion. Then I need to create the app. So app is equal to Express. That's done. Finally, I need to say app.listen and listening to some callback, and here we can just say console log server is listening, server is running at, I can just create a constant of port is 3000 and I say port. Okay, is this going to work? You can see we can also get the port directly from here. That's not a big deal. We need to first define the port actually. So we need to define the port here. So first one is the port. So we can say port and cool. Now I need to stop this one and let's start this Express one at localhost 5000 to see the difference. npm run dev, but it is still running the 3000. Why? Remember we said that we need to run app.js when we go on the package.json. The dev command is saying nodemon run app.js. We don't want that. We want the main.js to be ran. Now I will kill this server, once again run the npm run dev, and this time it says 5000 is in use. Previously we faced the same issue. So let's use 3001 actually, and I will also say here http://localhost:3001. Okay, so it should be available at 3001, and now it says cannot have any get here. Okay, so what we are doing wrong? We are running the server but we don't have any endpoint. How we do the endpoint thing? Go to the Express and it says you just need to say app.get, define the endpoint, do the response. So easy. We can see we don't have to do any response.end, response.write. App.get on slash, and here we will see request response, and I should do something like this, and here I just need to say response.send hello world, and that's it. That's the only thing we need to do to have our first ever hello world with the ExpressJS. Okay, so that seems like so easy stuff. Let's do some other things with the Express. When we use the ExpressJS, Express is actually built over Node.js. This means that if somehow, sometime we need to execute the basic Node.js code, then yes, we can do that. And I'm going to explain with a new concept of event emitter. So let's go to the documentation of Node and search for event. And if you go on the left side, yeah, we have this event, and here you can see we can emit an event and we can listen for the event. So what is event? And something is going to happen, and then we can raise an event, and that event can be listened by Node.js from anywhere. So what's going to happen, how it's going to work, let's see. First I will go and say const event, no, not event, what's that, events. Events, okay, and from here I just get the event emitter. Okay, so we can just change it to CommonJS. Event emitter will be there like this. Then I say const new event. My event is new event emitter, so my event is equal to new event emitter. And now I say my event dot, and I can have the on. That means whenever any event is raised or emitted, and here first we need to give the event name. Event name is test event, and what's going to happen on that, the listener, so it's going to be a function, and here you can see we can do anything. So here I just say log, and this event is listening. Okay, how we can emit the event? So this is the event, my event is there. Whenever we go on any route, we can say my event dot emit, and emitting the same event name, which is test event, and that's good. So whenever we visit this route, we should have a console log on our terminal here. So let's go here and open this 3001, run it, no issue. But here you can see this event is listening, and this will be useful when you want to do anything like a database transaction. So suppose you want to store something, and whenever you store, you want to emit that something is stored, then anywhere on your application you can listen for that event and do something if you really want to do. Next, you can do one more thing. Whenever you are emitting any event, you can send some data. So suppose I want to send my name, so Sarthak is here. This data will be available on this callback. So this callback will get you the data whatever you are passing. So I'm just going to log this data also. So let's see, I just clear the log, go to the server, reload it. It says Sarthak is not defined. Okay, yes, we need to provide it as a string, not any variable. So yes, there's no error. And now you can see after this, this event is listening. We have the name as Sarthak. The data, whatever we are providing here, will be available here. Okay, so this is how you can understand the events, and you get that yes, even though we are using the ExpressJS, we can also combine the node concept, the basic node concept inside this ExpressJS. And Express is actually built over the Node.js, and that's the reason we will be able to do that. Now let's continue with the Express and see more of the routing thing and move forward in the journey of Node.js. To understand more about the Express routing, go to the getting started part and click on basic routing. When we go here, it says that you just use the method name here and the path and the handler. This means we are just using the get request. What if we want to have a post request? Let's try that. It says on the post request for the same home page, that means the base URL, what we want to do, we just want to send a JSON data, and which will be like data is hello world from post method. Okay, but how do we test this? We need to use the insomnia. Here we have the insomnia and localhost 3000. On the get request, you can see it's actually not 3000, it's 3001. Send it, and yes, we are getting hello world. But what if I do the same with the post request? You can see we are getting the data hello world from post method, because we are sending a JSON request, not sending a simple text. This kind of structure, sending a JSON data, is useful when creating any API thing. Okay, so that's not the end yet. You can go on the header. You can see it has converted the application JSON as the content type, which is absolutely useful when we create any API or when we send the JSON. Just like this, you can also do any post, patch, or maybe delete request. Anything you want to do, you can do right here from our app dot and something method. So this is good for the base URL. What if I try to see /about page? Now it says cannot get /about. This is not a good response, and how do we handle it? I just want to say that for any other route, so I say all. So first handle this one. If these two doesn't match, then check on the all thing, and all for slash and then asterisk. That means after slash, anything come will go here. And what I will do here, I will just say response.send page not found. Okay, let's try this and run it. It says response is not available. Yeah, obviously request comma response, and reload, page not found for any other thing. But if I go on the base URL, hello world is there. That's so easy to write all these things. And remember, once again, go to the app.js and remember all these ugly code we need to write just to handle all the routes and throw the HTML pages. Okay. Now, what if I want to create a route which will have some kind of parameter or a dynamic routing? So I'm going to create a dynamic route called /book. So first we have this book route, which is going to return all books. Okay, but I will also create one more route, which is going to be /book/ and the book title or maybe ID. So for now I just have the ID and I say single book. Now let's try these two and see how we can get this ID from the URL. So right now, if I go on the /book, you can see it says all book. But if I say /book/34, how we can get that 34? Because we need to fetch the data from the database maybe in the future. For that, what we have to do, this ID is actually inside the request. So first we log the request and go reload, and we will see that here we have route, we have path, and we should also have somewhere params. So maybe I can search for params, and yeah, we can see we have this params. So I say request dot params like this. That means if I now reload, yeah, ID 34 is there. So yes, we can say single book of ID colon of request dot params. So like here. Now anything which is coming from the client side, from the user, or anything which is coming from the request will be inside this request object, and anything we return or we do the response go in the response object. That's the simple concept. So this is how we can get the ID, params.id, like this. Okay, so yeah, it will become 34 right here, right now. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to just convert this to /book and move it right here, because these two will, this one actually going to create the book, this one is for fetching the book. So I will say that book is stored. This is just the fake thing I'm doing, but you can see these two routes are almost similar. So we can do some more magic here. I can actually do app.route for /book, and then I can chain all these functions like get function and the post function. So I say get, and you can see we are getting it. So instead of doing that, I can just do like this and like this. Okay, so app for the route of /book, I just need to say slash and slash. Why? Because we have already defined that whatever we chain is going to be prefixed with the book. It's like a route group. But since we know that this is going to be the book only, so I can just remove this, because it says that, hey, this is the actual route. So why you are defining it? That's cool. So now if I go on /book, you can see still we are having all books, and go to the post request on /book, send it. It says book is stored. Yeah, this means this one is working absolutely fine. But as we grow with our application, you can see a lot of routes are available here, and all the routes are just actually filling up this file, and it's not a good practice. So I want to extract all these routes from this file and move it into a dedicated file called router. So I will say routes, router or routes / maybe I can say index.js, like this. So inside this index.js, I need to move all these routes. So I can cut all these routes and paste it here. Okay, so we have pasted, but can we just import it like const routes is equal to require of same library for the routes /index? Is this going to work? I'm not sure. Let's try. First, you can see this app is crashed. It says app is not defined inside the routes file, because when I go on the route file, the index file, you can see we are using the app. How do we get the app? So actually we need to change from app to a router. So I say const router is equal to express, and this means we need the express first. So let's say const express is equal to require express. Now instead of creating an app like this we are doing here, like here, we can just say express.router, like this. Okay, and now whenever we are using app, just replace that with our router. Okay, so this is done. Is this going to work? Let's see. Okay, so there is no error. Can we do that reload? It says no, this is not available. So what's going to happen? Here we have all the routes, but we are just importing route. We are not telling this Express application that, hey application, here are all the routes. So what we have to do? We need to say app.use of these routes. When I say use, that means it's going to include all these things inside this Express application. So once again, it's crashed. Now what's the issue? It says require a middleware function. So basically what's happening, let's just console log this route, log routes, and I just comment this one and see is there anything. Reload, and you can see this is empty. Why? Because in our index file where we have the routes, we are not exporting anything. Remember the module.exports thing? And yes, we need to export our router. And once we export it, then you can see all the route is there. This means now I can remove the console log and I will tell to our Express that, hey Express, use all these routes. So amazing. Now if I go reload the page, yes, all books are there and every route is working perfectly fine. So this is the way you can handle the routes, you can understand about the route and extract the route. Now, one more thing is there. You can see some of the routes are only related to our book. So what we can do, we can say, hey, there is a book.js route, and then I will do the same thing here, but just for the book related route. So book related these three route, and all other route I need to remove. So here we have the book route, so I can call this router as my book router. Okay, so we have exported this book router. Now inside this index.js and remove all the route related to book. Then what next? We have to actually combine all these routers. So then I say router dot use. This router is using another router which is going to be the book router, and I need to import it. So I say book router required on /book. Okay, is this going to work? Let's now see. First we have this, go here, reload. It's not working. The home page is working, but /book is not working. Why is that? Because you can see first we are accessing this one, then we are checking for this one, and it says that okay, anything, I'm going to accept and return the response which is page not found, and then after it will check. So if this is going to match, it will never going to, the Express will never going to check about this route. So first let's comment this and see, is this going to work or not? Reload, and yeah, it's working. This is working. That means what we can do, we can just move this route here, and that's the simple solution. So first check for this route, check for all these routes. If nothing matches, then says that okay, page not found. Okay, so yes, it is working, and if I say anything, it says page not found. So this is all about the app routes and how we can extract the route for a different type of route and have it. So you can also do something like this, or you can define any specific routing, then also it's going to work. So one thing is there, if you go on the index, you can see I'm just saying book route. We can also define it like here, say /book is going to use this book route, and then if I go here, I just remove this /book and /book from here, and this will be ensuring that before every route we create inside the book router will prefixed with the /book. Okay, so that's going to work absolutely fine. If I say 34, yes, it's working. Okay, so remember, if you want to use it like this, prefixing any route, that's also going to work. If you don't want, that's up to you. Cool. So we have seen a lot of things in the routing, and let's move to the next thing in Express inside Node.js. Remember when we were having just Node, then we were actually returning the HTML file. Let's work on this. Let's return an HTML file in Express. So I'm on the index routes. Here I have the base route, the home route. Instead of sending a simple text, I can say send file. And now the file is actually page/home.html, which is inside this page, home.html. That's good. Let's see if this is working or not. Reload, and now it says path must be absolute or specify root to send file. This should be absolute. Absolute means we first need to go through the process of learning what is dir name. That means directory name. And for now, I just say return sending anything to see what we are having here. So reload, yes, that's okay. But you can see it's having the base URL till the routes directory. The routes directory. Why? Because this function is running inside this routes index.html. That's why it's given here. So what if I just say like send file, but before that just add directory name, then add this text here, but go one step up. Let's see, is this going to work? No, it's not working because I need to comment this one also. Okay, now this time it says forbidden. So what actually happened? So we need to create an absolute path, and this is not an absolute path thing. How it's going to work? For that, we need to use a path module of Node. So first, let's say const path is equal to require path. Okay. Now, what if I say path dot join of underscore directory and some text? What's going to happen? Let's see. So I am here, clean up, refresh. Also, yeah, it's saying forbidden, but at the top you can see we have exactly the route given till this thing. Okay. Now, so if this is the absolute path, we can cut it from here and paste it with this thing. So let's have the path.join dir name plus this full path of our HTML file. Reload, and yeah, you can see welcome to Node.js course. Yeah, this is working absolutely fine. So great. So to see that yes, we are able to complete this. Now similar to this, we can actually run this for 404 also, like here. So if we say anything here, it says page not found, which is our HTML page. That's nice, and this is how we can serve any HTML page using the ExpressJS. Next, what we need here, we actually need to have some template engine. Now, what is template engine? Here, what if I send some data? How we can send some data here inside any HTML file? So suppose I want to say that, hey, welcome to whatever it is, but then I say welcome, and then I want to have a name variable which will be print my name when I execute this. So it should be welcome Sarthak. Okay, how we can do that? We need to pass the field like, hey, I'm going to pass name here. Name is going to be the Sarthak. Okay, is this going to work? No, it's not working. How do we do that? Now we need to work with some amazing thing. Sending a file, HTML file is good, but we can also use one more function called render. And when we do the render thing, let's see what's going to happen. If I reload, it says can't find module HTML. Actually, we need to remove this HTML, and then if I reload this page, it says no default engine was specified and no extension was provided. So what is engine? It's talking about that template engine. So here, if you go on the guide and using template engine, here it's given for the ExpressJS. Now, what we can do, we can just say npm install pug and save. So just install this and save it. While this is saving or installing, we just need to set or define the view engine, and this is the view engine it's talking about here. So let's copy this one and go on and go to the main.js, and after this routes we are defining the pug. Then we need to say I need to render something, but from where it's going to render? Yeah, we are defining all the path here. That's good. Is this going to work? Let's reload. Now it says fail to look view. It says view for the HTML file inside Node.js page home. How it's working? It says that it's not able to find any view inside this home, as that this home is actually an HTML file, serve this file. But if I do that, it says can't find module. What happening here? Actually, whenever you use any template engine, every template engine has their own extension. So for the Pug, we need to have a PUG, and that should be inside the views directory by default. Okay, so I will create a views directory. So first create a views directory. Inside this views directory, I'm going to create an index.pug, PUG. That's extremely important. And what should be the structure? It should be like HTML head and like here. So it's going to use some different kind of structure like a YAML thing. So title is the title, message is the message. But for now, I just say message is hello world, title is my title. You can see I'm writing as a variable or a string thing here, and plus I'm having the structure of HTML also. So if I do this, I just need to say one thing, which is the view name, and my name is index, means my view name is index. Now if I reload, you can see hello world is there and title is my title. That's how this is going to work. But remember, we want to show this dynamically. That means we need to send this name from here and show it here. Remember, we can have the name. So I need to just say welcome to this Node course, and then I use h2 and I say welcome and then Sarthak. So it should be like here, welcome and name. Cool. Let's try. Yeah, you can see it's actually rendering whatever we are sending from this render function inside our view. You can get the data from the database and send it here like this. That's so easy and so nice to work with the template engines. But you need to be familiar with this kind of syntax in the Pug if you are using this Pug. Okay, that's really good. We have seen how we can work with the views. Let's move forward. Now let's work on the REST API for the books. Now, how do we do that? First is to create a REST API, we need the endpoints. So if I go on the routes for book, we have a get route for all the book, post route to create a book. Then we need one route to get a book, which is this one. We need one more route to update our book, which is going to be have same, and we can actually have last one for delete. So you can see these two routes are exactly similar. So single book of ID to update to delete. Okay, so just like we are using here, combining these two, so we can do the same thing here. So we say dot route for slash of ID, and we don't need these two, and then let's combine it like here. Okay, so we have combined these two route, and I think we need to combine this one also. So that should be like here, and yeah, so like this. That's done. We have done this thing. But you know what we are doing here is just the endpoint. We need to connect to the database first. So how do we do that? Let's go to the documentation, go on the Express, on the API, on the guides. At the last we have database integration. click there, and we are here, and we are going to use the MongoDB. So click on that, and it need for this MongoDB driver or package. So let's install this one here on our application. So this is installing MongoDB. Now, while this is installing, how do we configure MongoDB? It says that for the version 3, and first check which version we are having here. So go to the package.json, go to the dependency, and it says MongoDB version 4. Okay, we have 4th version, so obviously it's greater than 3rd one, so we can just look at here. Or if you don't want to use these examples, just go to this link, which will open that the driver GitHub repository, and there is one more place here. We can say MongoDB, search for this one, and here we are. Let's see how we can do that. So this page and the GitHub page is exactly same. I like to have something from here. So it says that once you have this, then you can require the MongoDB client like this. You can set up something like this, define the database name, and start working. Okay, so these 3-4 lines are very important. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to first create a database directory, and inside this I will create db.js. Inside that I paste it. Now it's including the Mongo client. Then it says what is the URL. In localhost, this is the exact URL, and then we create the client using this URL, and we need to define the database name. So what is the database name we are going to use? We are going to use Node.js course database name. I will use underscore. And now how do we connect? So if you don't have the MongoDB, you can install the MongoDB. So I say MongoDB install, and if you are a visual learner, then you need to install the MongoDB Atlas, or if you want to install the CLI version, then everything is here. So it says that if you are on Mac, you need to install the Xcode, and then with the brew you can install the MongoDB. I already have the MongoDB, so I can just use Mongoose in my local environment, which is, you can see, is having the exact same URL which we want, and then here we can play with that. So first let's see how many databases we have. So I just need to say show DBs and hit enter. You can see we are having these DBs, their database. Now the good part of MongoDB is that once you start creating something, it will be available here. So we don't have to create any database like right now, because we just define it here and it will going to work. Everything is good. You can see we are defining database, we are defining, but what next? We need to go once again on the npm, and then it says you need to say first client.connect, and once it is connected, then you can say db client.db and the name, and then interacting with the DBs. Okay, so here we just need to say client.connect, but this is a await process. Yes, so we need to say await. We will tackle it later. And then we need to connect to the DB. So connect to the DB. That's good. Everything is good, but this await should be in a function. So we can say connect, and this should be async function, and move these two here, and at last return the DB. We need to make sure this is also an await process, and finally we have to say export module dot exports is equal to connect function. Okay, so we have done with this. What happened anyways? Okay, so this is done, and we can go here on the books route, and here we can just import our connect method, which is just by doing the require inside of the database and DB. Then wherever we want to do something, we can do that. Okay, so how do we do that? How do we create a new something inside our Node.js course DB, although that DB is not available inside our list of DBs, because once we start interacting it will be created. Okay, so that means we need to first go on this npm, and here you see it should be available for create or insert. So here we have create index, but we don't want the create index, we just want the normal indexing insert many. So here we have insert many, or we can just have the insert. So let's go to our VS Code, and here we are importing the connect method. And now let's create the DB and using the await, and just do the connect. Since we are using await, we need to use the async, and once we have the DB, then we can start creating. So we don't want to create here, we want to create on the post request, and I'm keeping this here because later on we will need it, so maybe I can comment it. Okay, so here I just need to say db dot collection, and which collection? Collection of book. Think about collection as the table name. So then I just need to say insert one, and the data we want to have is something like this. Data is equal to title is power of consistency, and let's say author is unknown. Okay, now we know that we don't have the database, we don't have the collection because we have never created anything, but that is the good part of MongoDB. Once you start interacting with any collection or any database, it will be created on the fly. So once you do this, then let's see what's going to happen, and make sure this is also an await, so it will wait for this to complete and then return our response. How do we check that? We need to open the Insomnia. So on this Insomnia, we are having this book, and now what I will do, I will just click on send. It says can't connect to server. There is some issue on the server, and server says something bad happened. Okay, yeah, when we use the route, we don't need to provide any path, so it's just a get request on this route. Okay, now this is done, everything is fine. Let's go to the Insomnia, click on send. You can see it says book is stored. Yeah, really, book is really stored. How we can check? First we can check from terminal, and here in the terminal we first say use our collection. But first let's see, do we really have the database or not? So db show dbs, and yeah, now we have this db Node.js course. So I will use this Node.js course db. You can see now I switched to this database. Then I just need to say here that show me all the collections I have, and I only have one collection called book. So I say db, which is referring to the current db, which is Node.js course, dot book, which is the collection name, dot find, and when I'm not giving any id, then it will give me everything like this. So you can see this is here, and it's inside the array. Every object is there with the proper ID, and this ID is given by MongoDB. We don't have to worry about it. Cool. Since we have this, now it's time to get all the books we have on our database. So that's why I have this commented out. So here I need to say const books is equal to await db dot collection, which collection? Book collection, and dot find, and when I'm not giving anything, it will find me everything. And instead of send, I just say request or response dot json, and returning all the books. Let's now see this one. So on the same route, we put the get request and click on send. It says something event and events count. So I think I need to do dot to array, so it will convert collection to the array. And now you can see we have this book. Wow, that's so great. We have done the database connection, we have created a new book, and we are getting all the books. That's so great. Next, what we don't want to hard code this book. We want to get something from the user, like we are sending the email and the password. Just like that, we need to send the title and the author, and that information we will store into the database. Now we need to store the information for the new book from our request. And now the question comes, how we can get the form data, or the data we are sending from our form, into this request. How we can get that? For that, actually we need to get another npm package which is called Body Parser. So if I run it, you can see we are getting a lot of Body Parser, but let's see which one we need to use. We need to use this one. Okay, so we have Body Parser JSON error, so we can just require the Body Parser. Maybe I can use the Body Parser like this. Yeah, this one is okay. So we need to install it, so click on it and then run it. It is installed. That's so quick. Then how we can use it? Once we have that, we just need to get it, require it, and then use it on our Express. So yeah, so app.use, that means express.use Body Parser encoded extended false. So something extended false, it says parse application JSON for that, and we need this one for now. So let's do that. For that, we need to go to the main.js where we have our Express, and then we need to require const Body Parser is equal to require Body Parser, and then I can say there is use thing, so app.use, and using this Body Parser.json. okay, so this is the one. Then how we can get that, the body, you just need to say request dot body thing, like here. Okay, so let's check this if this is working or not. We have it. Go to our books route, and here we can simply log request dot, and then I will do the body, and you can see now we have the body in this, and we are getting it. For now, I just comment these things, otherwise it will create another one. So response.json is request.body, and let's have it on the console also. So here we have the console cleared. Click on send, and you can see whatever we are sending, we are getting it back. That's great. So we have it. Now what we just need to do, we can uncomment all these things, and instead of this data, we need to say request.body. okay, that's so great. We are done with this, and now we need the title. Title is clean code, and author is Uncle Bob. Okay, let's click on send, and it says book is created. How we can verify? We already have the route for all the books. Let's go here and go to /book, and yes, we have done with this. So this is for our request and body parser, which is extremely important to get it easily from our request collection. Now let's work on all other routes we have, like patch, delete, and getting the single book. Okay, so first we need to fetch this book ID. So we know it will be from request param. So I say const id is equal to request.params.id. Okay, then we need the db collection or db connection actually, like here, and then we say const book is equal to db dot collection of book dot find with our id. Cool. And at last we need to return this. So request.json and give me the book. Okay, so how this is going to work, let's go. We have this id, copy that id, go to the book, and server is not running. Oh really, something bad happened. Okay, so it says await, you are using await and you have to define async. That's how it's going to work. Okay, so I say slash, and after slash we can say this is the id. Let's see if I hit enter. Okay, I think I need to do to array dot to array and run it. Once again we have some issue. What's that? Query filter must be plain object or object id. To test this, let's go to the terminal, and here I am on the Node.js course database, and I say db.bookcollection.find me everything. So you can see actually when we do the find, we need to say underscore id is the object id and then provide the id, not directly like this. So there are two things here important, which is object id and underscore id. Okay, get back, and here first make sure this is underscore id, and then we provide it like object id, and it should be coming from MongoDB and providing the id. And make sure this is again a await process, and go reload, and yeah, we have this one. Okay, we can do one more thing, like we can just copy or cut this from here, paste it here, and directly pass like this, and now make this id as underscore id, so we don't have to provide that here, and it seemed like a good refactoring. One more time, it's working. Let's try with the first one, and this is also working. Okay, so we saw how we can get a single id. It's now time to update something. Once again, we need to get these two things working, and then second we also need the request body. Okay, and we need the request body on the update part. So first we can say db dot collection of book dot find. Okay, but after the finding with the underscore id, and then we say update. Seems like there's some issue. Let's go to the MongoDB documentation. It says updating. Okay, so we need to update one, providing first the id and then the collection. We can do that also. Okay, let's try this one first, and I say request.body, and we are going to update the first one, which is this, and something bad happening. Oh, once again I forgot to have async here, and reload. Yeah, so we need to copy this one id and change, let's say change the title. Okay, so I will go here, change it to patch request, and I will provide it like slash id, and I just say title is updated title. Let's see what's going to happen. We are not returning anything. Oh, we are not returning, and we need to say this is await and return response.json data with book is updated. Okay, that's cool. Click on send, and it says nothing is there. Some error is here. It says find and update is not a function. Okay, so maybe we need to just say update, and can we do this? Update one. Yeah, update one is there. Now what we have inside the update one, first is the filter and second is the document to update. So I think we need to find with the ID and then request dot body. Is this going to work? Let's try. Send. This is also not going to work. Update document require atomic operation. So something is cool here. So actually we need to say here something like this, and then you can see we are here and it says set $set and then provide the data. So I say $set and provide request body. Let's one more try, and yeah, it says book is updated. If book is really updated, it should be updated here on our browser, and yeah, title is here updated. Cool. And final thing is delete, and it should be exactly similar to all these things. And now what I will do, I will get it, I will have it, and then I say delete one, and deleting with this ID. Once it is deleted, then I need to say book is deleted. Cool. Okay, so this is done, and here once again click on send. It says not going to delete it. Once again I always forgot this. Okay, so final thought here, it's updated. Why it's updated? Because it says updated because we are sending the patch request. We need to send the delete request. Send, and it says deleted. That means if I go on the collection, run it, boom, that's gone. Whoa, we have done a CRUD operation and created a CRUD API with ExpressJS. One thing to notice here is that although we are deleting, we are getting 200. When we try to update, still we are getting 200. When we create, let's say we are going to create one, so second book, and author is once again unknown, send it, still we are having some bad thing. We need to say send. You can see it should be 201. So how we can update the status for each and every request we are having? So first, whenever we get something, yes, we need 200, that's okay. But when we create something, we need the status to be 201. So can we do like status and like here, but it's not given. So actually first we need to say dot status, and we say 201, which is created one, and that's good. So let's say third book and send it. Now this time it says 201. Cool. Similar to that, we need to do this, and on the update we can have it, but on the delete we should have a status of it should be like 203. What should be the 203? Let's see. No content. So status code for no content, 204. What about 203? Status code of 203. This one is bad. Okay, so maybe we can say 204 and try to delete this one, last one. Okay, remove this. Third one, I want to delete. Click send. 204, no content, and the point is this really have no content, so we can remove it. Okay, so we have seen how we can do all the CRUD. Now what next? You can see this is a route file. This should not be responsible for doing all the database queries and doing all these things. We need to work on the controllers. Now we need to work on the controllers. So what is controller? Controller is just going to handle the request and do the stuff that is required. this route file is not responsible for all these things. It should be done in the controller. So let's create a controllers, and here I will create the book controller. So I say book controller.js. So what we have to do here, we just need to exports a function called index, and this should be a sync function, and we can also use an arrow function if we want. But what this function is going to do, this function is going to do whatever we have here. So this part we cut and paste it here, just like this. That's it. That's really the thing we need. So here we need to first import const book controller is equal to require go once up book controller, and then we say hey book controller dot, and we have the index. Cool. That's it. That's the only thing. Reload this and it's not working. Something is wrong here. It says await on connect, so it need the connect method. So let's move this connect from here to here. So it's using this connect, and that's it, I think. Reload, and yep, it's working. Okay, so similar to this index we can do for every other one. So this is the post one, which is for create. So we need to say exports dot create, or maybe store actually, and put this right here. Okay, that's good. So this time I say book controller dot store. Similar to this, I need to show a book. So now this time exports dot show is this one. One more time, this will be imported from MongoDB, otherwise it will complain about this. And I say book controller dot show. Everything will be managed easily, and this one is update. So at last exports dot update is equal to this one. Do we have anything special? No, so that's okay. This time book controller dot update, and finally the delete or destroy exports dot, let's say delete, and this one is going to be like this. Everything is done. Finally book controller dot delete, and you can see this looks so easy. Now we don't need this connect, we don't need this book ID, and just using the controller we have cleaned our routes file, which is having all the information here but still having very less 1 2 3 4 5 6 line of code only. Every logic is now moved to the book controller, and book controller is having all the information about what's happening for every route and every function we have here. So let's see. Yes, it is working, and let's get this one like here. Yeah, this is also working, and that means other will also going to work. This is how we add a controller in our Express or Node.js application to reduce the work on our routes file. Let's take another step ahead, and we can see everything we are doing. Every time we need to connect with the database, every time we need to find which collection we need to work on, and that's not a bad thing, but we can improve over it. For that, to have the connection directly with the MongoDB, we are going to use another package called Mongoose. So if I go on the guide of database integration, go to the MongoDB, you can see at last it says if you want the object model driven MongoDB, look at Mongoose package. So I will use the Mongoose package. Here we are, but it's good to get it from the npm mongoose. Here we are. Go on this, and we have here. So let's install this and see how this is going to work. Okay, so first install this. While this is installing, let's see how we can use it. First, we need to install it, which we have done. Then it says that you need to import it. We will do that by using the require. Then we say that it says that you need to use the Mongoose to connect with the database, not the normal MongoDB connection. Once that is done, then you need to define some model. Now, what is a model? Model actually a file or a class, you can say, which is directly connected to a single collection. So if I create a blog post model, that model will be responsible for the blog post collection, or think about blog post table. And we need to define each and every field on that. Why? Because what we are doing here is not a bad, but we have some error. Suppose we are trying to store something with one more extra field. So with this, I say key, which is a random thing, and it's not actually required in our application. So how we can actually work over this? If I try to create new book and send it, it says still it is created with the key. And if I try to see all the books, this book has the key field, which I don't want. So that's why we need to have all these things, and with that we have the validator on this Mongoose. Mongoose provide various other things like middleware also, and yeah, we can work on it. Let's start with Mongoose. So now I will go directly on the main.js file, and here first we need to connect with the database, and we have the DB here, but this is for the MongoDB, but we need for the our Mongoose. How we can do that? We need this thing, so like here, and then we need to paste it and import the Mongoose. But since this is an await, that means we need to create a normal function which should be like connect db, and it's a async function. Move this here, and then the URL is something like this, and my database name is this one. You can make it dynamic, you can create the db name constant and do that, but it's okay for me. Finally, you just need to say module dot module dot exports is db connection, and that's it. This is the only thing we need to do. And now we need to go to the main.js, and here we say const connect db is equal to require from database, it's actually database slash db, and then we say await of connect db. Is this going to work? Let's see. Okay, so it says await should not be used directly, so we can just say db dot connect db, and then we can start the server. So what we can do here, we can say connect db dot then, and once this is connected, then start the server. If you don't want to do this function, you can directly use this Mongoose connect exactly like here. So like this, and remove the connect, and this will be good, but I would like to move things which is responsible in its own place. Okay, so this is done, and you can see, so now server should work. Reload, it's not working. It says db.collection is not there. Okay, it's not working on our controller. So to have all the books from our collection, we need to create book model. How we can create the model? It says you need to use this like here, the schema from Mongoose scheme, get the object ID, and finally we can create the new schema, and at last we can export that yeah, something like this. Okay, so for that, let's create another directory called models, and here we are creating book.js. It's a book model. First, import the schema. So schema will be like mongoose.schema. So maybe I can directly do that. So what I have to do, new schema. Okay, so const book schema is equal to schema, and this is a new, and here we can provide various things like title and author and anything else we want. So first is title. What is the type of this title? It's going to be the string, and then author is also going to be the string. Now finally we just need to say module dot exports, and exporting first await for mongoose dot, and this should be like here, where is that? Yeah, mongoose dot model, and model name is book, and the schema is book schema, and we don't need this. Okay, now we have the schema, which is very nice, and now we can use this schema on our controller. On the controller, go here. We don't need the connection for the database. We don't need to import any connect method, and we don't need to do something like this. So how do we do that? We say books is equal to book model, like here, dot, and you can see we have the find. Cool. And finding is done. So let's try this and reload, and something bad happened. It says where is that server? Reload. Okay, something is not working. Oh, I think I got it. It should be await, and it's giving me empty. Why? This is happening because we are defining this model, and every time you define a model, Mongoose will find the collection for books. And what is the collection name in our case? It's only book. So how we can override it? So we need to provide the third argument as the collection name, which is book in our case. Reload, and yes, you can see it's working. So I can totally remove these things, and I totally remove this connect part, and that's it. Let's just fetch a single one. So instead of doing all these things, I just need to say const book is equal to await of book model dot find, and find by ID. So how we can find it? So let's do this, and we need to do the finding with the ID. I think, yeah, that's just the ID. Let's try with just the ID, not any other thing. So maybe I can just provide the ID, and I can remove this like here, and it should work. So let's see, reload, and yes, it's working. This means it should also work for create and update. How we can update it? So first we need to get it. So we can say update, where is on the Mongoose says update. You can also find by ID and update. So model dot update should be the thing. So it should be like await of book dot update 1, and that's exactly going to be the same thing. So let's cut that, paste it here, and not here, and this should be the thing. Okay, let's try this on our Insomnia. Let's go and update it, updating with this this one, and let's try another one, which is the second one. Let's try with the second one. Zoom for you, go with the patch, and author is going to be the second book updated. Click on send, and it says book is updated. Reload, and yeah, second book updated. This is very nice. And finally we need to say await book dot delete one and delete one with the underscore of ID. See how easy and how clean is this. All the responsibility of selecting which collection we need to do is inside this model. We are having the title here, and we are only getting these fields which we have. Next, we have more things inside this Mongoose, and we can get that. And now let's work on the validation, because we can add anything in our database, and we don't want to do that. So what we need first, we need to say await book dot store, like this. Is this a store thing? So, or it's a create. Find create one, not that. Yeah, create a new blog post. So it says new blog, that's different thing. Save, actually there is a save thing. Save, no, save is not there, store is there. Anyways, credential. What we can say, we can say create. How do we have that on the previous thing? Insert. The word insert I was missing. So insert one maybe, and then we can say request dot body, but we need to actually do the validation. So suppose I try to post without any author name. So I say author name is not there, and title is actually a number. So how this is going to work? Click on send, and it says unexpected token. So something bad happened on our side. So let's see. So where is the issue? Seems like something is not good here. Anyways, so we have the issue here. Okay, so send it. Now server is crashed, and this time it says is not a function. So there is insert, maybe insert should be there. Click on send. It's not having insert also. So maybe I can try the store. That's big changes here. Click on store. Store is also not there. What happening here? Do we have the create? Okay, so create is there. Oh, that's really bad. Okay, so finally we can see title is there, and title is, we are sending the title as a number. It received as a string, and even though it has stored, and also there is no author. How we can restrict these things to be happening? So first it says that go to books, and here we define it as a string, the type. So we can also define type as string, and we can say required is true. How do I know? Go to the Mongoose and go up, check for validators. In the validators, you can see we can define like this: type and required. That's the only thing we need to do. So we have the same for our author, and that's it. That's the only thing we need to do. Now what next? If I try to create once again, click on send, it says something bad happened, but this time it says, hey, there is a failed book validation, and we can actually return these error to our user when we are trying to create. So we need to use the try catch. So try catch. So on the try, we try this. If everything is fine, return it. Otherwise we get the error. We say response.json for error. Okay, let's once again try. Click on send, and now we have a lot of things, but on these we just need the error, not other information. Okay, so we can say errors, error dot errors. Okay, once again send, and boom, we have it. It says author, name validation error, message, path author is required. So this is how we do the required validation. Now this is your challenge to check for the number validation, why we are still getting this and inside the database, because we are defining that is whatever you are storing, store it as a string, but we don't want to even accept the number and try to convert it into the string. Okay, so that's the thing we need, and this is for the Mongoose validation. Wow. Now's the time for the authentication. Now, how do we do the authentication using this Mongoose model and the JWT? First, let's create a route for sign up. And for that, we need to go into the routes directory and create auth.js. And here we need to actually use this express, and then we say const auth routes is equal to how do we do that on the book? I can check express.route. Yeah, express dot router, and then we say auth routes dot on the route of slash auth, then dot post for sign up. When we do the sign up, we need to do something, and since we know the structure, we will go with the auth controller directory dot sign up. So let's go on the auth controller. We need to create it. So let's say auth controller dot js, and here let's say exports dot sign up is going to be an async function which will do the sign up. Okay, so everything is fine, and for now let's return the JSON response.json. Why it's doing this with me .json, and here is something. So request and response is here, and I don't need any arrow for here. Oops, I need arrow, but I don't need the dot. I need the comma. Is this working? Let's see. We will go to the insomnia, go to the slash auth slash sign up on the post request and click on send. It says page not found. Boom, because we need to register this route on our index. So here, once everything is done, we can say slash of auth and then auth router like this, which we can import from auth router, import from auth. And since we are defining auth here, we can remove that from here, or we can remove the auth directly here. So let's have some different thing. Now this is registered. Let's once again try on insomnia. It says could not find the server, something bad happened. Every time I need to check auth controller. Oops, I need to import the auth controller here. So const auth controller is required from, go one step up, controller and auth controller. Is this okay? Let's send. Still we have one more error. So let's see what's the new error. It says route.post required a callback but got a string, object string. So what happened here? We are defining it like this. Is this the exact thing we are doing? Yeah, we are doing right. Exports dot index and do the function. So exports dot sign up, do the thing, and dot sign up is the proper thing. So slash sign up. It should be working, but it's not. Oh, is it? Yeah, it's also the post request. Auth controller, what happened here? The route.post required a callback function but got an string object. This is the exact way we are doing here. Oh, we got the point. Yeah, so what we have done here, we need to actually remove this route and we just say sign up, and then we need to get back to our index with the auth thing, and yeah, this is good. Now it will surely going to work. Click on send, and this sure is not that sure. Okay, router.use required a middleware and got a function, but we need to export it. module.exports is equal to auth routes. This time 100% sure it will going to work. Okay, yeah, it's working. What next? We need to get the data from our request, and then we store that on a user collection. That means we need a model, a user model. So go to the models directory and copy paste for book, call it user, and we call this user schema, and this will be user. And since we are starting fresh, we don't need to define the collection name. It will use the users collection. Okay, user will have name and then email and then password field, which should be once again type of string, and when we create it, it's required true. Okay, everything is done. User model is done. So let's go to the auth controller. Here I say await user dot create with request dot body, and once it is done, we need to return the user. Const user is equal to return the user, like this. Okay, so this is the way we can have it. So let's try to create the user. First we need the name, so name will be Sarthak. Why we are having this? Then email is going to be sarthak@bitfumes.com, and finally the password should be password. Let's now see what's going to happen when we click on send. It says server returned nothing, no data, and that's why it's giving error. It says you are using await and user is not defined. So user, we need to import the user model. So first we need to say const user is equal to require of go once up and use the user model. Okay, that's it. One more try. Click on send, and yeah, we can see we have the user detail. But the point here is this user should not be there because this password is not encrypted. We need the encrypted password in our database. Okay, so we need to use a bcrypt library from npm bcrypt and go here. So install this bcrypt library once again. It's so easy things because we know how do we bcrypt the password. We just need to import this bcrypt library, and then we can simply use some bcrypt.generate salt to hash a password. We can just say bcrypt.hash salt around and the callback function if we need to have. Okay, salt around is 10, so let's copy these two things, go here and paste it. Bcrypt is there. Now what's going to happen here, we say const data is equal to, which is like request.body, but we will spread it, and then we say password is going to be the password we will create. Password is equal to bcrypt.hash hashing the request.body.password, and how it's going to do hash and then the salt around. So do we really need the salt? data salt around. I don't know if we can go here. It's not given that it is required or not. Anyways, we can have the salt around. So salt around is here. Then we can just say the body or data is this one, create this user. Okay, let's go and once again click on send, and we have some error, and I think this is because of await. We have, yes, this should be await, and click on send. This time you can see we have the encrypted password. So now we have the user. We need to get the user on the login part. Let's do the login. Okay, so next is the sign up. So exports dot sign in, or login, maybe we can call it. Let's call it login. Then async request response of something something, and we will create the user here, or we will get the user here. So let's go to the auth route. Here let's create another one which is for the post request of login, and it will go to the login. And for now, to check, I just say response.json, and I say something something like this. This time I will check for /auth/login, and it should return me something something. Yeah, ASDF. This is working. But now we need to fetch first user with the email. Okay, so we can do that, and we can say const user is equal to, we have the user model, then we say find one. Okay, and it's going to only find one user with the email which we have from request.body.email. Okay, so let's return the user if we get it. Okay, so let's try to send the email which is there, and no name we will send. Click on send. It says nothing. I think I again forgot to have the await. Click on send. Yes, we have the user, but you can see it's returning old user. So I can just actually remove this user by going here. So I say db.users.remove with the id of object id of this one, and it's doing something. I don't know what happened. So once again click, it is still there. db.users.findAll. Yeah, we have it. So what's happening here, I want to remove this user. So let's do that. Remove everything, and this time I say .users.remove, and this one, and it has to be inside an object. Okay, so it's now deleted. Close the terminal, or maybe I can keep it running. Then once again, if I try this time, it's getting the correct user with the hashed password. Now since we have the user, but what if we provide some different email? So first we need to check if there is no user, then we can say response.json, and we can say error is user not found. Simple. And if I change the user email, it says user not found, and it should not be 200, it should be 404. So status is equal to 404 not found. Okay, so change it. Yeah, not found. Okay, next we need to check for the password hashing, if the password is really hashed or not. So for that, once again, the bcrypt library will going to help. bcrypt and compare, or what is that, compare? Yeah, I think it's compare. So let's go here on the Bcrypt documentation, and it says that once you need to check for the password, you can say compare the plain text and the hash, and that's it. So compare with the plain text is request.body.password and hashed one is user.password, because user collection is having hashed password. If this doesn't match, then we say once again user not found. So we have this, and this time, yes, you can see we are having the password, but we can change the password and then we try. It is still returning that user. So comparing should be false, but it's not get falsed. So let's try to send it. Oh, it's again pending because it's an await thing. Await of this and send it, and now it says once again user not found because the password is incorrect. If I do the correct password, it says could not connect to the server, something bad happened. Once again cannot set header after they are sent. So these are the things which is creating the issue. So we actually need to do something else. So what we can do, we can just return and kill the function. If these things happening, then we are good to go. Okay, so we are providing good content, everything is fine, and we are getting the user back. Okay, so we are successful on finding the user while doing the login, but when we do the login, we need the authentication auth token or access token maybe. How do we do that? Let's do that with the JWT. You know, I have this amazing video of JWT explained, and this is got 221k views, and it is going to explain you the JWT. But I also want to explain you JWT right now, so I will go to the jwt.io website, and here it's the JWT. So JWT consists of three things. One is the header, another is the payload, and finally the verify signature. So if anything changes here, this is not going to match, or it will create invalid JWT. You can see it's invalid, and now it's verified valid. So first one, we have some data. Second one, we have some data for our case. Like first one is having data for the JWT related, like algorithm, what is the type. Payload is the real data we have. We can put the user information here, and verify signature is obviously for the verifying of this JWT token. But how do we use that in our Node application? So we need the JWT package. So just the JWT, let's search for JWT. Yeah, exact match. Here we are. So we are here, and let's install the JWT on our application. So it's installing. How do we use it? We need to go to some, yeah, here we are. Slight adaptation of JWT for Node.js. Is this the correct one I'm doing? No, this is not the correct one, because we don't want JWT. We need the JSON web token library, which is very famous, and yeah, this one is the thing we need. So here you can see it, installation is failed. I'm going to install this one, the JWT JSON web token. Once it is done, and let's see how we can use this one. Okay, so first we need to require it, and we can create the token by using the sign, and we provide the information, and then we provide the code, hashing code. Okay, so we can define some algorithm, I think, but that's not the thing. We can define it synchronously or asynchronously. It's up to us. Cool, let's do that. So once we are trying to log in the user, we need to create the JWT. So how we can create? We need to use the JWT. We need to import it, and not like this. We need to import like here. So use this JWT here dot sign. We need to sign the JWT and signing with all the information we want to add here. So we need to add the user detail. So we say user because we have the user. Okay, we are sending all the user. Then we provide some secret. So JWT secret, we should move it on any env file, but for now we call it fake JWT secret. Okay, this is going to return me the token and it should be a wait thing. Once we have the token along with the user, we can also return the access token. Okay, and token is like this. That's good. Now we have the token, and then let's see how this is going to work. Click on send. This time we have a lot of other things also. So yes, we have the token. So you can see we have this token, access token, but we have some other information which we don't want. So what if I just return the user and then we need the access token? So send it. This is good. So user information is this and access token is this. Okay, so we get the access token. It's using this login system, and we can use this access token to access some protected routes. This means we need the middleware in ExpressJS. How do we do that? To understand the middleware in ExpressJS, we can go to this guide and writing the middleware. It has given very nice information here. So it says that what we are having here, first you can see this get is actually the HTTP method. This is actually the path or the route. Then we can define a middleware function, and that should be the thing. So middleware function, which we have the request response and the next thing. Now what is the middleware? Middleware is like a guard which will protect the code to execute on the further or not. So it will say that okay, something is good, go again, but if something is bad, stop here. Right. So how do we write our middleware? So to create a middleware like logger, you can see we need this function which will do something, and finally we say next, go to the next request. And when we have this middleware, we can just say use this middleware. Okay, so we have it. Now let's create a directory called middleware. Inside this I will create test.js or test middleware. This is just going to say exports dot test is equal to, it's going to have a function, an arrow function it could be. This will need request, response and next part. And let's log this and say I am test middleware, and it's very important to go with the next, otherwise ExpressJS will not move further. How do we use this middleware? Go to the main function or main.js. First import this const test is equal to require the middleware. So go to the /middleware. Why it's not doing that? Yeah, middleware test, and then finally we can say that app.use test, which is the test middleware. Now this is going to apply for full application, but let's see. It says something bad happened. App.use requires a middleware function. We are giving it. Okay, so maybe what we can do, we can say const test and then module dot exports is equal to test. Now this is giving the exact one. Now if I reload this, yeah, you can see everything is fine, but every time we do anything here on our application, this is going to be logged. If we try to fetch a user, you can see we are getting it, and once again it is logged. So every time and for every request, this one is going to work, this middleware is going to work. But what if I just comment this next? See, this is going to be fun. It's keep on loading because it don't know what we have to do after this log. So after this log, it is stopped. So that's why we need the next one. So reload, yep, logged, and next is there. Cool. That's how we create the middleware in ExpressJS, which is absolutely fine. But middleware are this middleware which we have created is added to all of the routes in our application. But we want that to be on a specific route. Our auth route should be on, our auth middleware should be only on some of the routes. So suppose we want to add this test route not here on every application, but on very specific route. So suppose we have this routes directory, we have this books, book route, and now I only want to add it. Let's first try with this one. So I only want on the home page, which is this one. So let's see, on the second parameter we can say first import this test middleware and say test, and then third parameter will be like the callback. Okay, see this, we have some issue. It says can't find. Okay, so we need to do something like go on the middleware and then on the test. Is it fine? Yeah. Now if I reload on a single book route, you can see there is no log. But if I go on base URL, then you can see we have the route, and this is the thing we really need. We want to add some route on specific we want to add this middleware on specific routes only. Let's get back, and we don't want any update here. We want to add the middleware on these routes only. So how do we add here? For this, since this is actually a router, so we can say book router dot use and using our test middleware. So we can say this is the test middleware and importing easily like this. And now whenever we go on home page like this, you can see there is no log. But if I go on any related to book route, we have the log. Now that's the simple thing. This is the only concept you need to learn about the middleware. Let's change the name from auth test to auth. So this will become auth, and now here we are using this auth middleware, so change the name once again to auth. Okay, so now this means that these routes are only be accessible if this middleware will allow. Okay, this is good, but how do we check for the user? This is real issue. So see, can we just return any error from here? So we have the response, and we can say response.json, and we can simply say error and unauthorized like this, and status we can also define dot status is equal to 40422. I think no, it is unaccessible entity. What is unauthorized? Unauthorized code, which is 401. Okay, so 401, and that should be the thing. So what if I try to get a user, get a book, all the book, let's see, it says unauthorized. That's okay, that's really fine. So we just need to check for the user. And how do we actually get the user and we can verify? We need to verify through the header, through the token user is going to send. So let's do that validation or authorization now. The normal flow for any authorization is like, first we call the user, we get the user token like this, we copy that token like here, and then after this we can go to any protected route. If we send the query like this, it says unauthorized 401, but we need to send the authentication token or authorization token as the bearer and whatever the token is. Now if I send it, it should give us the real content because now we have the valid token. But how do we check for the token? First, let's see if I say request.headers, because we are sending this on the headers. If I go and check for this, now I need to send it. You can see I have this authorization token. So I can say dot authorization, which is having all this bearer token. Okay, so send it. Yep, we have the bearer token. Now first we need to check if there is request.header. So suppose we don't have any headers. Also we need to check for, if there is a header, then we need to check for any authorization token. So after this and request.headers.authorization, if there is authorization, we need to check for third thing, request.headers.authorization.split, because remember we are getting bearer, we don't want bearer, we just need after this space. So split with the space and get the first one. If all these things are good, then console log me the token, and I say let token is equal to this. It's not doing like here. Maybe we can just get this like here. So give me that like here. Okay, so it should give me just the token only, nothing else. Send it. Yeah, we are just getting the token and nothing else. Okay, so we have the token. So I say const token is equal to this one. Now if we don't have any of these things, then we say it is unauthorized. Okay, or maybe we will do that later, but first we are here. Now what we have to do here, now we just need to say JWT, which we have on our auth controller. So copy that, and I want to use the const JWT dot verify, verifying this token. So token is there, but with the secret. Remember we have the secret here on auth controller, which is this one, fake JWT secret. So I put it this, and third is the callback, what's going to happen. So first we are getting error and then we get the response, I think, or maybe we can call decode. Okay, now if there is an error, then I just return it. Okay, otherwise we can check for the decode. So it should be decode, not like this, decode. So how do we decode? Let's go to the JWT documentation, and it says signing is done, we need the verification. Okay, so it says token, secret, verification, and we get the foo or whatever, the decoded part. Remember the JWT here, and this is the payload. So on the decoded part we get the payload, I think. And if I am thinking right, then we should get everything right. Okay, let's get back to our code. What we are sending on the decode, so let's just log and see what we have on the decode part. Although we are sending unauthorized, so it should be unauthorized, but we have user and we have the user ID. We can verify these things, like we can say dot user dot underscore ID. Okay, so we are done with this, and now we can say user model. We can use the user model like here, dot find one. So finding one with our underscore ID as object ID of MongoDB, and using this ID. Now we need to say await, and remember, if we are using await, it should be async here. So now user is there. If user is not there, then also I'm going to return. That means I'm not doing anything. It will go outside it and finally it will return 401. But if there is any user, then we need to run as the next. That means the token is valid. Okay, a lot of things, but await is only valid. Oops, it should be async here first, not here. That's good. Yep. And finally, if I try to send it, oh, again it's returning that, so cannot set header. Okay, now remember, we have also one more thing, which is the async await way of verifying. So I say like const verified is equal to await of JWT, all these things. And or maybe just let's do that. Const verified is equal to this, and let's just comment this and try to log verified, what we are getting on the verified. So everything is good. Click on send and it's pending. Whoa, it's pending. That means we can use await here and then async here, and in that case we don't want to do all these callback thing. So let's try to check what we are getting now. Send it, we get error or we get the response. So first we need to say if try catch. If this is good, then we do something. If there is some error, we do something else. So if this is nice, then we should return next, but we need to verify the user also. So remember, we have these things. So like this, if there is any error, then we need to return this thing on the catch part. Okay, and if user is not there, then also we need to return this, like here. Okay, and if user is there, then we just need to say next, and we end this function right here so that it will not go on the next part. So instead of this, I can do something like this. Okay, so first we are doing await, then we check for the user if there is any user. If user is not there, then unauthorize and return. That means close this function. Otherwise, if user is there, go to the next part. Cool. So let's try this. Send, and still we are getting 404, 401. Why 401? So let's try to log error. Let's see what's going to happen. Click on send, and decode is not defined. Decode is not defined, so we need to say decode will go here. Now send, and boom, we can see we have author, we have title, and it says all these fields required because I'm doing something bad. It should be something. What we are doing? Oh, we are trying to create the book, and that's how it's working. You can see it is working. Now if I change anything in our token, let's say I remove that E, then send, it says unauthorized because now token is incorrect. So this is how we actually check for validation and check for all other things which we require. Anyways, this is all about the ExpressJS, Node.js validation, connecting to the database. I think you got the point how you can master this Node.js and understand each and every concept. If you like this episode, please give it a thumbs up, which is very important, and subscribe to Bitfume's YouTube channel. We will meet in some other videos. Till then, goodbye.